The South Bay area has some of the most beautiful beaches in California, and the parks that overlook the ocean in Manhattan Beach are places where most people find serenity and happiness. But for Duane Shepard, looking at the property that once belonged to his family, known as Bruce's Beach, simply brings heartache.
It's a really sad place for me and my family because of all of the various issues and turmoil that we've been through over the past few decades in order to get justice for our family.
The land that Duane's family once owned was right on the shoreline. Willa and Charles Bruce were two of the first African-American residents to move to Manhattan Beach in the early 1900s.
They bought this property here in 1912 for $1,225. They added 3 lots to that, and eventually they built a dining hall, a bathhouse, a dance hall, and sold water novelties there. They were kind of the precursor to Venice Beach.
Given that segregation practices had restricted most beach access for blacks in the Los Angeles area, the Bruce Resort became a top destination for black beachgoers. But the more successful and popular the Bruce family enterprise became, the more the Bruces and a few other black families who had moved into the area became targets of racism.
Starting in the 1920s, they started to be harassed by the Ku Klux Klan. The Klan wanted to force the city of Manhattan Beach to take the land back and force blacks out of the area. They set a mattress on fire under the porch of one of the buildings. One of the houses was actually burned down.
And this was all done by the Ku Klux Klan at the time?
By the Ku Klux Klan. Then you had the police involved as well, and Manhattan Beach City Council. They were all in collusion in this particular instance.
By the early 1920s, acts of intimidation by the Ku Klux Klan increased, as did efforts to interrupt the Bruce family business and deter black visitors from Manhattan Beach. Wealthy real estate owner and developer George Peck installed no trespassing signs patrolled by law enforcement between the Bruce family's property and the shoreline.
So the bathhouse and the dance hall and the restaurant and all of that was right there. So when they put the no trespassing signs in, they couldn't come out here straight out from the property onto the beach. They had to walk a quarter mile that way, a quarter mile that way in order to get into the water.
The city of Manhattan Beach condemned the Bruce's property, and other black property owners were pressured to sell their land at prices below fair market value. The properties were ultimately seized through eminent domain proceedings in 1927. The reason used? An urgent need for a public park. The Bruce family sued the city, and after years of litigation, Willa Bruce received $14,500 for her lots. Duane says the market value at the time was around $35,000 per lot.
What my family was going through was pretty much indicative of what was going on all over the United States at that time. Wherever blacks tried to gather and take care of themselves and live in peace, that peace was always broken by some white group.
After the city condemned the land, it remained abandoned and unused for almost 3 decades until a park was finally built in the 1950s. And then in 2006, more than 80 years after the Bruce family was pushed off their land, and after the first and only black mayor elected in Manhattan Beach, Mitch Ward, headed a campaign to change the name, the park was renamed Bruce's Beach. A lifeguard training center now sits on the actual land Willa Bruce once owned. A few hundred yards up the hill sits a plaque.
What is your reaction when you see this Bruce's Beach plaque?
I kind of feel disgusted and angry about it. It doesn't say anything about the domestic terrorism that my people suffered. It praises George Peck as the person who made it possible for our people to live here when he was the very one that fought diligently to get our people out. I mean, the truth just isn't here.
A petition was started on change.org by a Manhattan Beach resident and co-signed by Duane Shepard, outlining a set of demands to the Manhattan Beach City Council. It includes installation of a historically accurate plaque at Bruce's Beach, a public statement from the city of Manhattan Beach addressing the park's history and a commitment to combat racial intolerance, and restoration of the land rights, including restitution of 95 years of lost revenues to the Bruce family. Duane says his family's story is a part of American history that needs to be told, truthfully and in detail.
It'll be an example to all the other young families and young people around the country that they should be doing the same thing, because this is the only way we're going to get justice, is to speak out and take action. As long as we remain silent and we don't do anything, then nothing's going to change.
In Focus SoCal reached out to the city of Manhattan Beach for comment. Mayor Pro Tem Hildy Stern said, quote, on October 20th, 2020, Manhattan Beach City Council appointed 15 residents to the Bruce's Beach Task Force to address how to appropriately acknowledge the history of Bruce's Beach. The members represent a cross-section of Manhattan Beach and possess varying experiences and unique perspectives. The full task force meets bi-monthly, and each member is also appointed to one or more subcommittees which meet more frequently. We expect recommendations to be brought to City Council very soon. End quote.